Good evening. Welcome to the April 6th, 2026 meeting of the Wenham Select Board. A little bit of an echo, but we'll proceed. Present at the Select Board this evening are Peter Clay, Deirdre Parati, Gary Cheeseman, and Ben Timon, and we're pleased to be meeting again in joint session with the Finance Committee, and I'll turn it over to the FinCom Chair to open your meeting.
Cheers. So this is, let's see, 6:03. We'll open up the Wenham Finance Advisory Committee. Present is Finn Sprague, Chair.
Dave Doggett. Papa Paddock. Jared Ward.
Sarah Bishop.
So we have all five of us here. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And we also have with us this evening our town moderator, Roger Smearage, and our usual team, Steve, Joe, Michelle, and Ernie. So welcome, and welcome to the public. Mr. Poulos, if you'd like to kick things off.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as you mentioned, tonight is the annual warrant hearing, which historically happens the Monday before town meeting. And before we jump into it with the town moderator going through the articles, I just want to go over briefly some residents here in the room I see have the warrant booklet. Every resident in town should have received one physical copy of the warrant booklet in their mailbox about 2 weeks ago. There's been a couple of changes, in my opinion, not substantial changes, but a couple changes I wanted to go over just for the folks watching at home and here today, so they're aware of it. So you'll notice that the backup date, which was selected by the select board, was added for informational purposes to the front page and also the first paragraph of the warrant. Article 2, municipal operations, originally existed in the commentary. That phrase was removed because it pertains to school operations only. That's the school operational override. Article 15 originally had it as the Iron Rail Renewable Energy Lease PPA. The correct acronym is CPA, and that's updated in the posted warrant. In the commentary, we had an estimated reduced savings of $800,000. We reduced that to $700,000 to reflect some electricity pricing, future pricing estimates that have been updated that reduced slightly the overall. We're projecting about $750,000, but we went with more than 700 to be safe. In the adoption of Specialized Energy Stretch Code, Article 16, at the FinCom and Select Board joint meeting about 6 weeks ago, when they were making their recommendations, there was a question as to whether FinCom would traditionally vote on an article like this. And the answer is no. Traditionally, they don't vote on zoning or bylaw articles. So that was removed. We also checked with council, and there is no legal obligation, either by bylaw or mass general law, that requires the FinCom to do so. Article 18, restriction of multiple board memberships. The language that was approved at the March 17th Select Board meeting was included. That will be gone through in more detail later tonight. Article 23 was renumbered from Article 24, which was a clerical mistake. And then on the capital handouts that you'll see at town meeting, they were, I believe, posted publicly just for folks to be aware of. We wanted to further differentiate between the plow vehicle that the DPW is requesting and the plow vehicle and rescue vehicle that the fire is requesting. The difference being is the fire is slightly more expensive, and the reason for that is the lighting, communication requirements, and also storage that goes both in the cab and in the bed. It's like a pull-out tray and some storage that for rescue equipment, medical supplies, communications, and things like that. So that's the difference in the pricing. And that's all. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Steve. Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Roger Smerridge. I'm the town moderator. And for anyone who is new to town meeting or participating for the first time in a long time this year, the town moderator is charged with overseeing the town meeting, and that involves recognizing folks to make motions, speak on articles, and generally maintain decorum, although that usually isn't something that I have to worry about. Thankfully, we usually have a pretty good turnout, both in terms of numbers, but also attitude at town meeting. Town meeting is the legislative branch of our town government, and you all voters, the registered voters of the town, are the legislators, and that means you get to participate in the democratic process at its most ground level that our country knows how to do. This is the purest form of democracy in open town meeting, which is our form of government here in Wenham. So as is always the case, the warrant sets out the articles that are proposed for action at town meeting, and each of those articles basically outlines the four corners, the boundaries, that is, of what the legislative body is being asked to consider. For each of those articles, one of the town boards or committees will be recognized to make the motion, the main motion, and then debate and discussion proceeds from there, and ultimately voting on any motions, whether it's the main motion, motions to amend, or other procedural motions, which are all set forth in the rules of town meeting, which is this book, Town Meeting Time. Copies are available at the library if you ever want to check one out. So what we'll do tonight is I will go through the warrant article by article, and I will ask the board or committee that will be making the main motion on that article to introduce it and discuss it. We'll go over recommendations from the boards or committees as applicable, and then for each of the articles, folks here in the town hall room or anyone participating remotely will have the opportunity to ask any questions and get any additional information that they would like to ask about before Thursday night. So with that brief introduction underway, we'll move to Article 1, and we can take up any issues that come along as we go. But Article 1 is the annual operating budget appropriation for the town and the school district. This is a Finance Committee article, so I'm going to turn it over to the Finance Committee Chair, Finn Sprague, for this article.
Sure. So I just want to make clear, we are going to be looking for some specific language for a motion from the Finance Committee to recommend the file. Are you looking for discussion right now, or are you looking for the...
You can, however you want to handle the discussion, Finn, it's up to you.
Right.
So,
Well, I guess I'll ask the folks on the FinCom if there's any discussion on this one, right? So Article 1, as you know, basically funds the town and the school district up to the Proposition 2.5 limit. Right? It's the first of the two articles related to the operating budget of the town. And, we have been working on this since October of this past year, right? We've met with department heads, we've met with Steve, we've met with Jeff, the finance director who left recently to go work for MSBA, and we've been working on this for quite some time. So I know we have talked this to death, but is there any comments that you guys would like to make before we move?
I'd like to suggest that at the town meeting, we have captions on the slides when they go up for the column headings. This year, we dropped them.
Captions for the
When you
slides
get past the first page, there are no column headings in the printed version.
in the printed version of the warrant book, or
Yeah.
of...
I think Bob is referring to the actual budget document, and I noticed this as well. The
I see what
as you
mean.
move from page 1 of the budget, the line item budget, to the subsequent pages, the column headings for actual FY 25, 26, proposed 27, and so on, don't carry over page to page. I'm not sure, Bob, what you're referring to in terms of, I don't think we usually put the line item up on screen.
Okay, if we're not, I thought if we were, it would avoid confusion.
I think it's just, it's so small that I'm not sure, I don't know, we can look at it, we can look at how it will look on a slide, but I agree that if it's going to be put on a slide, the column headings should carry over to each slide so that it's clear which of the columns is the FY27 proposed column that Finn or whomever from the FinCom is going to be reading through the line items. It's clear that that's the amount that is proposed for each line item.
All right, well, we'll take a look at that as we prepare for Thursday.
And I know we should have, so as Steve mentioned, town meeting will be at the Bennett Center at Gordon College. The screens that we use at the Bennett Center are typically larger than the one that is behind the stage at Bucher. So we can, the hope is have better projection. So we can test it out to see whether presenting the line item slide, on a slide, so that it's up there as the FinCom reads it line by line item, and I hear, listen for any holds. We can definitely take a look to see if that, whether it is legible in the back of the room or it loses its legibility as you move back through the meeting hall. For those who are not familiar with the process of how we do our budget at town meeting, the way it works is the motion will be made to move the operating budget, the total amount, and then typically the FinCom chair will read through the line items. I will ask town meeting to call out hold if there is any line item that someone has a question about, wants to discuss, potentially wants to amend. And then once we've gotten through the reading of the budget, we will go through those holds one by one, take up any motions that result through that discussion, and then ultimately vote on the final remaining budget, whatever it may be, whether it's the original proposed budget or an amended version, at the end of the discussion on that article.
I'm going to make a motion for the Wenham FinCom to recommend favorable action on Article 1, which is titled Annual Operating Budget Appropriation, Town and Schools. I printed in the warrant. Looking for a second.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I think unless one of the committee tonight's wants to change their recommendation, unless a recommendation has not yet been made and published, you don't need to re-vote the recommendations.
All right, that will go a lot faster then. So, yeah.
Maybe you'll present on this then.
Right, there's going to be a script. And I'll be presenting a couple of different ways. First, I'm going to try to keep it to a one-page presentation, one page of speaking, and then I get to read all the numbers out loud for a good 15 minutes or something like that. And then we'll move forward through it. So,
Mr. Moderator.
discussion, gentlemen, ladies? No? Okay. Then I think we're good with Article 1.
All right, thank you, Finn. Mr. Timon, would the select board like to express anything with respect to Article 1, the budget?
Do any members of the board wish to say anything about Article 1? Okay. I did have a procedural question. Would you object? Yes,
It says 5-0.
because I think it was all 5 members were here at the time of the recommendation. So, do you have any objection to, before we move from one article to the next, opening up to the public for any questions that they may have about each article?
That's the point. Before we do that, I just want to ask if the administration has anything to add on the budget article before we turn it over to the public.
I just have two things. One, this represents the town and school operating budget that we're able to raise within the constraints of Proposition 2.5, with one caveat to that being that Traditionally, we raise it entirely by taxation. This year, Article 1 has a small component of certified free cash that will be used. Those are being used for two one-time non-occurring items, one being a 111F disability, which is an officer injured in the line of duty, and one being an offset to the trash increase, as we will work ourselves into the full increase over 3 or 4 years. So that's the $195 you see referenced for free cash. And it's, again, the balance budget underneath Proposition 2.5. This is essentially a partial school budget. They'll be asking for additional funding in Article 2.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we've now covered the boards and committees as well as the administration. I'll now open the discussion on Article 1 up to the public. If anyone here in the room or participating via Zoom has any questions or comments or wants to weigh in on Article 1 tonight, now is the time. All right, seeing no one approach the podium here in the room, is there anyone who has raised their hand online? Okay, so I think that covers Article 1, and we will move on. So Article 2 of this year's warrant is the operational override for the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District. This is also a Finance Committee article, so Finn, I will turn it back over to you.
Cheers. Could you confirm something for me, please? Below there it says the vote needed is a simple majority. Do we not have a higher threshold for pass the 2.5 threshold?
Nope, an override under general laws is subject to a simple majority vote, both at town meeting to pass the budget component and then for the ballot question that follows.
That's yep.
It's borrowing is subject to 2/3 under general law, chapter 44, section 7 and 8.
So this Article 2, as we were just discussing, it goes past the 2.5% property tax limit in this for the property taxes that we'd be imposing on ourselves as citizens of Wenham. The thing that we noted while we were doing this work is that most of, if not entirely all of the costs here are related to having to fund level services at the school district generally. So you'll see, right, that the Finance Advisory Committee is looking at this as well. We've discussed this at length, and we ended up with a 5-0 vote to recommend that this be passed. Are there any other comments?
No. Was it 5 votes? That was 5 votes. This is 5 votes.
Are the assignments that are in the draft speech be assigned because David was listed?
David is listed, so unless anybody has any particular desire to switch with anybody, I was going to just take the way that the dice fell for how these got assigned.
And I was happy to let him explain the.
Oh, okay.
Try to use the mic for the minutes.
So, any other discussion from members of the FinCom? Not seeing any, I think we're good to go. So back to you, Roger.
All right, thank you, Finn. Mr. Timon, anything that the Select Board wants to share with respect to Article 2?
Before I raise a suggestion with regard to potentially revoting on this recommendation, do any Select Board members have comments or questions as to the substance of Article 2? So at the previous time the board looked at this and voted, it was a full 5-member board. There was one dissenting vote. That member is no longer on the board, and so I don't know whether the board wishes to revote on the recommendation in order to potentially have a unanimous vote of favorable action.
I'll make the motion that the Wenham Select Board recommend favorable action on Article 2, operational override for Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District.
Second.
Great, we'll take a roll. Peter?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. Nothing further from the Select Board at this time.
Okay, thank you. And, Mr. Chair, I'll give you or a member of your board the opportunity to explain that revoted recommendation on the floor on Thursday night. Does the administration have anything else they want to share with respect to Article 2?
Nope, nothing.
All right. Does anyone in the public, either here in Town Hall or participating remotely, wish to comment on or ask a question about Article 2, the operational override for the regional school district? All right. Seeing no one approach the podium here in the room and being told no one has raised a hand on Zoom, we will move on to Article 3. So, Article 3 is the creation of a building stabilization fund and a vehicle and equipment stabilization fund. These are two different stabilization funds, I know, even though it's a single article. This is a FinCom article, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Sprague.
So you'll see that the FinCom recommended favorable action here, I think 4-1. Essentially, what this does is it takes cash from the free cash and puts it into these stabilization funds, which then kind of have a higher threshold for the citizens to vote to release, if I recall correctly.
Lower threshold, right?
These are both proposed as special purpose stabilization funds under the 2023 amendments to the general laws. Appropriations out of special purpose stabilization funds are a simple majority. It's only the general stabilization fund that is still requiring a 2/3 vote at town meeting for an appropriation out.
Right. So, you know, as you can see from the title of stabilization fund, right, this is to set aside funds so that we can have them available to us for special projects as we look forward, right? And the FinCom has been looking forward for the next couple of years at various projects, whether it comes to the DPW building or, you know, the need for, say, ambulances or other emergency vehicles, right? And this would allow us to find that cash available to us when those needs come up without having to ask for, you know, increases to the operating, you know, from operating funding or taking it from free cash. I see that we have Sarah as the person who's going to be making the main motion in the meeting on Thursday. I don't know if you have any comments or thoughts.
No, I'm glad that you said that, because I hadn't realized that.
Great.
Well, this is a simple one. It should be, the motion should be as printed in the warrant. So this, unless something changes between now and Thursday, this will be a pretty simple motion to read. I'll pause here before handing it back over to the, Chair Sprague, that motions at town meeting, or main motions that is, can come in a variety of forms, but the one that is used most often, if the warrant article is considered complete, is the simple affirmative, which is just that the moving party moves the article as printed in the warrant, and that just means exactly what is printed in the posted warrant. That is the action that the moving party proposes the town take. Sometimes things change between the time of the posting of the warrant, or details weren't available at the time of the posting of the warrant, and that's when more detailed motions may be required. Sometimes there's other legal requirements that require a more detailed motion, but when you hear someone on Thursday night or at town meeting generally say, I move to approve the article as printed in the warrant, that's what is being proposed, is to simply take exactly what's in the posted warrant and have that be the action of town meeting. Carry on, Mr. Sprague.
All right,
Unless you
so
have-
I think we've spoken about this one a little briefly. Anything else from other members of the FinCom on this one? No, we're good to go?
Do you know who voted against you?
Not,
Bob.
Yes.
And remind me, can people ask Bob, like, who voted against and why?
At town meeting? Yep, absolutely.
And we can just decide as a board if we want to answer, right?
You can decide as a board whether to answer as a board, or the individual dissenting member can go to the microphone and speak as a a member of the town meeting body and explain their position. So those are both options that are available.
Essentially, you need to have the floor to go as a citizen, not a member of the board, to
Right, because the board, unless the board has officially authored and submitted a minority report, which is not the case here, that individual would go to the floor mic and offer their views from the floor. Because the board has voted, notwithstanding the dissenting vote as a body, to recommend favorable action. So the position given from the table would be that of the board.
Any other discussion or along those lines? I think we're good to go then. Back to you, Roger.
Okay. Mr. Timon, does the select board have anything they want to share about Article 3, the proposed two stabilization funds and the funding thereof?
No, Mr. Moderator, thank you.
All right, does the administration have anything?
No, I believe Finn covered it.
Okay. So as noted in the warrant, this is subject to a 2/3 majority because the creation of special purpose stabilization funds does require that higher vote threshold. At this time, would anyone from the public like to ask a question or make a comment about Article 3? All right, seeing no one approach the podium and no hands raised on Zoom, we will move on to Article 4. Article 4 is the use of free cash and other available funds to fund the fiscal year 2027 capital improvement program. This is also a Finance Committee article, so I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Sprague.
Okay, I'm not going to go through the full list of all of these projects, but the FinCom has been looking at these and had, significant discussion on some of these. Some of these are pretty small, but some of them are substantial, whether it comes to, generators or, vehicles, that sort of stuff. Most of these things are fairly standard. But as I look on the warrant, I'm seeing that this is a motion for you, Bob, to present.
And I think it has holes on individual line items in what it's written.
Yep, this will be done the same way we handle the budget. The operating budget, we handle the capital budget the same way, so that after the motion is made, the capital budget items will be read one by one. If anyone from the town meeting body wants to ask a question or debate anything during town meeting, they call out hold, we make a note of it, and then once the list has been read through, we address any holds, and then we come back to the motion for a final vote at the end of that discussion.
I don't know, Bob, if you have any additional comments on this one? No? Anybody else from the board? Not seeing anything? We're back to you.
Thank you. Mr. Timon, Select Board have anything to share on Article 4, the capital budget?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Poulos, does the administration have any comments on the capital budget?
All set, thank you.
All right. Members of the public here in person and on Zoom, if you have any questions or comments on Article 4, the capital budget for fiscal year 2027, now's the time. And seeing no one approach the podium here in Town Hall and no hands raised on Zoom, we will move on to Article 5. Article 5 is the correction of CARES Act negative balance. And as I slide through my notes, this is, I believe also, yes, this is FinCom as well, so Mr. Sprague.
Right. This is not a very substantial amount of money. It's essentially to refund a special program that was started during COVID. We have about $47,000 that we need to move from free cash over to kind of close that out. I noticed that we have Jared Ward as the one presenting. I don't know if you have any comments or concerns on this one?
No.
No?
Is there a reason this isn't included in the consent agenda?
This was not included in the consent agenda because this is not a standard year-over-year item. So typically, the consent agenda would just be limited to, standard year-over-year items. I think it probably will not yield much debate, but that's the reason why.
Any other questions from the board members? Not seeing any. I think we're through. Back to you.
All right. Mr. Timon, does the Select Board have any comments or thoughts on Article 5, the CARES Act balance? No. All right. Mr. Poulos, does the administration have anything to share?
Yeah, just a little bit more detail. So back in 2021, or we're really coming through COVID, Massachusetts came out with the CARES Act. It's similar to the federal program when you hear the ARPA funds being tossed around. Well, this was kind of Massachusetts equivalent. And what happened here was certain expenditures were deemed to qualify for CARES Act reimbursement. So they were coded as such, purchased, and then submitted to the state for reconciliation. And after the fiscal year had closed, the state determined that there was $46,000 worth of expenditures that did not qualify for reimbursement. Therefore, the reimbursement was reversed, creating a deficit in that special revenue fund. So we've been carrying that ever since. So basically, by them not reimbursing us for those expenditures, it needs to be carried through the general fund. So the free cash offset is effectively that. It's funding these expenditures that were incurred back in probably 2018, 19, and 20 with general fund money. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Poulos. Does anyone from the public have questions or comments on Article 5, the correction of CARES Act negative balance? Seeing no one approach the podium here in the room and no hands raised on Zoom, we can move on to Article 6. All right, Article 6 is Cooperative Housing Exemption Local Option. This is another Finance Committee article, so I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Sprague.
Right, so you'll see that the FinCom has approved or recommend approval in this 5-0. Essentially, what we have here is that you have seniors, veterans, other folks that would normally be able to apply for and be receive property tax exemptions as if they were someone who owned a condo or owned their house entirely free. But there's nothing in here kind of allowing us to do that for folks that are holding property as a co-op, right? So what we're doing here is kind of extending the same level of participation for those folks that would otherwise qualify just because they're holding their property in sort of a different sort of arrangement. So as you see, the FinCom has recommended favorable action on this. And who do we have on this one? Is it me? It's me. Well, I don't have anything more to say. So is there anything from other folks on the board? No. Okay, I think we're good. Back to you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Timon, does the Select Board have anything for Article 6?
No, Mr. Moderator, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Poulos, does the administration have anything on Article 6?
Do not. Thank you.
All right. Members of the public, if you have any questions or comments on Article 6, the cooperative housing exemption, please approach the podium or raise your hand on Zoom. I see that the town clerk would like to speak, so I'll recognize Ms. Bucco at this time.
Diane Bucco, your town clerk. Is that the proper Mass General Law?
So you mean that's referenced in
The reference, Chapter 59, Section 5C.
Right. So I believe that the administration can correct me on this, but there has been a correction to the statute citation that will be reflected in the motion made on Thursday night.
That's correct.
So it'll be Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause
I don't remember off the top
It's
of my
Clause
head.
55.
Okay.
So,
All
but
right.
yeah, that will be
Thank you.
taken care of through the motion.
This will be an instance where, when I'm reading the motion, I don't say as printed in the warrant. I'm going to be using different language.
Right, exactly. So this will be a more detailed motion. That'll be an example of that. That's right. And for any question, just to get this out of the way, I still think that with the correction to the statutory citation, this is still within the scope of the article. The point is, for this cooperative exemption, is just the warrant didn't have the correct statutory citation. All right, so we've done. Any other comments from the public on Article 6? Seeing no one else here in Town Hall and no other hands raised on Zoom, we will move on to Article 7. Article 7 is collective bargaining funding agreements. and this is a Finance Committee article, so I'll turn it back over to Mr. Sprague, although I believe the administration may have an update as well. I'm not sure if the administration has had a chance to talk with the Finance Committee chair yet.
I did not.
So I'll actually recognize the administration first in this instance because of the update that they've let me know about.
Right, so this is, to fund the library collective bargaining agreement that would be effective July 1st, 2026. We have not reached an agreement yet. We can still reach an agreement between now and the 9th, however, we have not. So it is possible that this article may need to be moved over, and it will be taken back up at next year's town meeting.
And so if that's the case, the form of the article would be to pass over or indefinitely postpone the article. Otherwise, Mr. Sprague, there'll be a motion to approve the article as printed in the warrant with a funding associated with that, should an agreement be reached between now and Thursday night, correct?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Sprague, for any discussion.
As you see, we've got 5-0 recommendation from the board on this one already. I think, David, this one's going to be yours if it shows up. Any thoughts? Anything there? No. All right. Anybody else? Not seeing any?
So my assumption is that the recommendation of Finance Committee as well as Select Board, and I'll check with you, Mr. Timon, in a second, was to recommend favorable action on the proposed collective bargaining agreement funding. If that agreement has not been settled by the time we gavel in town meeting on Thursday evening, and the proposal is to pass over the article, I probably will ask each of the boards to update their recommendation with respect to that proposed course of action as opposed to the course of action of approving the funding for the CBA. Does that make sense?
Sure. So there's going to be specific language that you'll be tweaking in the script that basically says we're holding this over, right, and then asking for us to agree to hold it over.
Right. That way town meeting is clear that your recommendation, while originally was for favorable action on the proposed article, that given the fact that the settlement, this collective bargaining agreement has not been settled, assuming that still is the case as of Thursday night, both Finance Committee and Select Board recommend that town meeting do in fact pass over the article. Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
There's a 5:30 meeting scheduled for that evening. Will that be done before or done at the time of the motion?
You can do it. If you've scheduled a meeting before, you can do it during that meeting. You can also do it during town meeting. Town boards and committees can meet during town meeting without having agendas posted. That's the one exception to that aspect of the open meeting law. For that very reason, so that if there are developments that occur either right before or at town meeting, those boards and committees can confer and discuss updating their recommendations as is necessary.
And town meeting then votes to basically hold this over, right?
Right.
Kind of given last year's attention.
Yep. So it's just an instance where the main motion would, instead of being to take action, would be basically to take no action, and town meeting votes to support that approach. Or doesn't. I mean, they can always vote no, but if there's no collective bargaining agreement that's been reached, there's not really any affirmative action that could be taken. So, it's kind of a rock and hard place at that point, but, I'm sure the administration will have an update and be prepared to explain why the town is proposing to pass over the article if that's the case. Anything further from the Finance Committee?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Timon, Select Board have anything they want to add on Article 7, the collective bargaining agreement for the library union?
No, sir.
Okay. And does the administration have anything further?
We do not.
Okay. Members of the public, if you have any questions, comments on Article 7, the collective bargaining agreement for the library union, please either raise your hand on Zoom or approach the podium. And I see that Mr. Purdy is approaching the podium, so I'll recognize him.
Good evening. Jim Purdy, Larch Row. Excuse me. If I understand, clarification, if this does not, if this is deferred, does that imply that the employees will not get a salary adjustment for a whole year?
That's correct.
Okay.
They would get retro once, in almost all scenarios, they'd get retro once we fund the first year of the contract, assuming it's at the next, it likely would come back at the next town meeting, but assuming we don't have any special town meeting, it would be the next annual town meeting the following April, in which we could fund the first year of the contract, and they would get their retroactive adjustments.
About a year later?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. That's been put into, I'm sure, the discussions with the union?
They're
You're aware of that?
Yep, they're
possibility?
completely aware of that, yep.
Okay.
Any other comments from the public on Article 7? All right, seeing no one else approach the podium and no hands raised on Zoom, we will move on to Article 8. And Article 8 is where we reach the proposed consent agenda, which this year is proposed to consist of Articles 8 through 12. I'll pause here to explain what a consent agenda is, or a consent calendar, as is the term that we use in Wenham. A consent agenda or calendar is a procedural mechanism that is used to vote a series of articles with one single vote. This is typically articles that are governed by the same quantum of vote and are not expected to be highly debated or debated at all, in fact, and are usually standard articles that we see year over year. This year, the consent agenda is proposed as including Article 8, prior fiscal year bills, Article 9, cemetery and other trust funds, Article 10, transfer from water operating budget to water capital reserve fund, Article 11, water department capital expenditure, and Article 12, roadwork chapter 90 funding. As I said, these are sort of all financial articles that the town has to deal with year over year, and they are administrative in nature. They typically do not result in any debate, and that is why I propose including them in a consent calendar. For this consent calendar at town meeting, I will read off the articles that are proposed to be included. If anyone wants to take an article out of the consent calendar for individual discussion, there's a process that I'll explain for doing that on Thursday night. But whichever articles remain in the consent calendar will be voted through a single motion to approve all of those articles. And then if any articles are held out, we'll take those up as we would in the ordinary course with standalone motions. I do note that the prior fiscal year bills is included. The reason, and I'm going to ask Joe to confirm this in a second, why I believe that can be included in the consent calendar this year is because for each of these bills, an appropriation was made during the fiscal year that the service was incurred. It just so happened that the bill either did not come in until after the fiscal year turned over or was not paid until the fiscal year turned over. So for that reason, it would still be a simple majority vote rather than an elevated 4/5 vote that is required to pay a prior year bill when there was not an appropriation made for that service.
That's correct. We had all the money set aside for each bill, yes. So
Okay,
just be
thank you for
simple majority.
confirming that. All right, so with that explanation, I'll turn it over to the Finance Committee Chair to just maybe run through, other than the prior year bills, which I just explained, what these articles in the consent calendar are, and then for any further discussion on them.
Right, so we've talked about the prior year fiscal bills, Article 8, so number 9 is essentially some moving some money around kind of to, as we have to do between some various kind of trust funds related to the cemetery. And I'm going through these quickly, so if anybody wants to put a hold, we'll keep talking about it. The water district has kind of its own funding methods, right? In Article 10, you can see that they have an operating budget and they have a capital reserve. We need to kind of authorize them to take some of the money that they have in the operating budget leftover money and move it over to the capital reserve so it can be spent on capital projects. And Article 11 is doing exactly that for a particular project for $20,000, redevelopment of well number 2. And Article 12 relates to essentially kind of qualifying and receiving money from the state of Massachusetts related to some particular road work. And all 5 of these are, as Roger mentioned, ones that we are seeing very regularly every year, and they're not very substantial. I'm hoping that, Sarah, when you propose these and speak about them, it ends up getting us through 5 articles in rapid succession, and otherwise we go through the script and you're going to have even more to say on these, but I'm hoping that it's going to be fairly easy. I don't know, any thoughts or questions or concerns on these?
Just to clarify, for the Article 8, I would read what's in the table as well, the amounts for each thing, or no?
Only if Article 8 gets held out of the consent.
Okay.
So if it stays in the consent, then you won't read through each of them.
Okay, so we go to, okay,
And this, you'll have a script in front of you that provides,
okay.
so,
I wasn't sure whether it was saying to read, says that I would read the motion, so is the motion,
so the motion under the consent calendar is just, I move to approve Articles 8 through 12 as printed in the warrant. I think one of them does one of them have a funding clarification,
Yes.
Joe?
Article 11.
Yeah.
That we're going to double check with the water commissioner on that, just to get the funding source.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that would still, I don't think that would take it out of the scope of the proposed consent, and so it would simply, the motion will likely be, I move to approve Articles 8 through 12 as printed in the warrant, with Article 11 to be funded, and a funding source will be supplied. So only if Article 8 were held by town meeting to come out of the consent calendar would we actually get into the reading of the specific line items of the bills.
But you're reading the entire consent.
I'll read the 5 articles that are proposed to be included in the consent and ask for holds at that time. Yes.
Anything else from members of the FinCom? Not seeing any. Back to you, Roger. Thank you.
Okay. Select Board, anything to add on the consent calendar?
Anyone on Articles 8 to 12, the consent calendar? No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Timon. Does the administration have anything else to add on the consent calendar?
Do not. Thank you.
Okay. So hopefully, I'll turn it over now to the public, but hopefully, as I said, these are housekeeping articles. They're standard year over year. That's why they're proposed to be included in the consent. But if any members of the public have any questions or comments on Articles 8 through 12, the consent calendar, now would be the time. All right. Seeing none and seeing no hands online, we will now move on to Article 13. Article 13 is the annual Community Preservation Act reservations and appropriations. I will recognize the administration on this in a second because I'm not sure anyone from the CPC is actually here. But if there is a member of the CPC here that wants to present this article tonight, I'm happy to give them the floor. But for those who are not aware, Wenham adopted the Community Preservation Act more than 20 years ago, I believe now. The Community Preservation Act results in a small surcharge being added to the property tax bill of every property owner in town, and that money then gets pooled along with certain matching funds from the state for projects that fall into one of 3 buckets: open space and recreation, historic preservation, and housing. Each year, the town is required by law to either reserve or spend at least 10% of the CPC money that came in. And so this article includes both a accounting feature, which makes those reservations and appropriations, as well as the proposed projects that the Community Preservation Committee has received applications for and recommended action on to town meeting. the Community Preservation Committee's recommendation is required before town meeting can spend any Community Preservation Fund dollars, and is also a cap on that spending. So town meeting can't propose an upward adjustment to any of these amounts that the CPC is proposing. With that brief introduction, I'll turn it over to the administration to provide a summary of the CPA budget this year.
Yeah, so the moderator captured most of it, or all of it. I'll just add a little that. So basically, the CPC is a 7-member board, and they run a pretty comprehensive application process where, not just the town, but folks from the public can submit, such as, the First Church or the Wenham Museum or the Village Improvement. Really, it's open to anyone who wants to submit an application, as long as you believe the project fits into one of those 3 buckets that Roger referenced. And, it's something so they've gone through all, a pile of applications. They've reduced it through a series of public hearings and votes down to these, I believe it's 9 projects. So what you're looking at here are the projects that they've vetted and supported and are recommending to town meeting to grant these CPC funds, so that the project can be completed. What makes this article a little different this year than it has in the past is we have a number of outstanding closeouts that are grants that have existed. Looks like it's going back to that were awarded back in April of 2015, so the town meeting of April 2015, that have unspent balances, but the projects have been completed. So in order to return these back to, essentially the pot of money that the CPC can spend out of, we need to close the projects out and return the money. So you can see the accounting here. If you're looking at your warrant book, the grant closeouts, you have those list of projects and the associated town meeting, in the town meeting article, where those funds were awarded, and that were awarded through the select board, but ultimately, appropriated by the town meeting, and then the unspent balances associated with them.
And my understanding is that those project closeouts will go back to whichever the specific reserve buckets the project was associated with. So if it was drawn from the historic preservation bucket, it will close back out to the historic preservation bucket, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Poulos. I'll turn it over to the Finance Committee. Does the Finance Committee have any comments on the CPA article?
No, but I'll just remind FinCom members that, most of the discussion that happens here is being led by the CPC, so we don't have any particular part of the script where one of us is going to be pointing out that there was a recommendation by the board to approve this. So, any other thoughts, concerns, questions? All right, no, we're good.
Thank you. And you're correct. CPC, a member of the CPC will be making the report, recommendation, and motion under this article. With that, Mr. Timon, does the Select Board have anything they want to add on the CPA article?
I have one question regarding item 5 in the CPC recommended grants. Am I correct, Steve, you may know, or Ernest, that the $96,900 town hall bond payment is the last bond payment?
You're correct.
Okay. So this is not relevant to whether the town meeting is going to pass this article, which they may or may not, but of historical interest perhaps is that in the fall 2005 special town meeting, the CPC was passed in the same vote as the vote to fund the historic restoration of this building and the construction of the new police station. And those two things sort of went hand in hand to the extent that the CPC then helped fund through the historic preservation line item 20 years worth of bond payments on the town hall bond, and now that will come to a conclusion, assuming that this is approved. So that may be of some interest to people.
And I think you can see the scope and the breadth that the CPA funding has now allowed the town, the scope of the projects that this funding has allowed the town beyond just that initial town hall restoration that was sort of the driving force, as you just alluded to. So does the administration have anything else on the CPA article? Okay, members of the public, any questions or comments on Article 13, the CPA budget? Yeah,
I
Jared.
just had an observation. Nowhere do I see what the actual fund balance of the fund is. Someone may ask that at town meeting, and it shows the ins and outs here, but it
Yeah.
doesn't show what the...
My expectation is that the representative of the CPC who is presenting their report would be able to answer that question, and that's the person to whom I would direct it if asked. Okay, any other questions or comments on the CPA article from the public? Seeing no hands online and no one else in the room, we can move on to Article 14. Article 14 is debt exclusion high school roof. This is also going to be presented by the Finance Committee. So, Mr. Sprague, I'll turn it back over to you.
Right, so as is printed there in the warrant, this is basically funding the roof that's over there at the high school that has been leaking for quite some time. We have the MSBA that's going to be helping by funding a significant portion of this. As I recall back to last year, and as I look at the language that's here, there's a lot that, Jared, you're going to be able to say out loud in the script, because you have to go through the whole thing. This language is kind of like dictated to us by the MSBA. You'll notice it talks about the entire project cost, right, as opposed to just Wenham's portion of that cost, right? And these are all requirements, by the MSBA as to what has to actually go on the warrant. And as I look at the list, at the script here, you're basically going to be reading the whole thing out loud.
Oh, I have to read this one?
Yeah, well, at least that's how the die fell. If you're not,
No, because the other ones, it just said recommend approval as written.
So I think there's discussion within the administration to shorten this up for the reading by it will still be a full long-form motion, but the text will be on the screen, and so the motion that you actually have to read, Jared, will probably be abbreviated to some form of, I move to approve the borrowing authorized by the regional school district as further set forth on the screen. That's still a work in progress, though, Steve?
Yeah, we actually just had that conversation today to try to shorten it up.
Somebody get me a script, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll get you the script.
All right. Anything else from the FinCom?
any other concerns about the actual spending or motion? Nope. All right, I think we're good to go.
Okay. I'll turn it over to the select board in a second for any comments they have. I will just reiterate that where this is a regional school district borrowing proposal, town meeting's action is limited to just voting yes to approve it or no to not approve it. This is not an instance where, as if it were town borrowing, we could debate amending the amount or the scope or anything like that. This is actually the one instance where it is simply an up or down vote. It's pretty rare for town meeting to have that limited scope, but where this is a regional school district borrowing proposal and they are a separate legal entity under Chapter 71, this is simply an up or down vote for the town meeting once the motion is on the floor. Still can be debated, but the end result will just be up or down on the motion.
If town members have questions, will somebody from the school committee be there to address?
Superintendent Tracy will be in attendance. All right, Mr. Timon, does the select board have anything on Article 14, the high school roof debt exclusion?
No, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. Does the administration have anything else on this article?
Yeah, well, there's one handout that is going to be out there, like a voter's information guide for both this Article 14 and also Article 2, that outlines the estimated cost impact based on the most recent information we have, both from the district and their council as far as borrowing costs. And then one thing I wanted to also point out is on that, on the handout, it clarifies that the commentary in Article 14, the MSBA estimated reimbursement, I don't have the number right in front of me, but has gone down slightly. So we made that note, kind of an asterisk in the handout, just so folks are aware.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I understand that not only will Mr. Tracy be in attendance, but he will be delivering a brief presentation on this article as well. Okay, members of the public, if there are any questions or comments on Article 14, the high school roof debt exclusion, now is the time. Please either come to the podium or raise your hand online. Just please, state your name and address.
Sue Petrolia, 6 Eaton Road, Wenham, member of the WCASC, Climate Action Sustainability Committee in Wenham, and Hamilton Climate Action Team. I just have a comment or information on this new roof that the Hamilton board is aware of, and the school committee and the superintendent, and I'm not sure you guys are, so I'm just setting it in there. It has to do with the amount of solar capability on the roof. We, on March 18th, a member of HEIC, WCASC, and Hamilton Climate Action met with Superintendent Tracy. Great discussion about what we could do about that roof if we could get more solar on it. The reason why it was requested to bid it at 40% was because that's the minimum the MSBA would accept. So they started there. We have new information recently requested from John at Select that gave us a little bit more insight into how much we would be saving in energy costs if we did the whole high school roof. It is yearly $106,000 per year if we did the whole roof, and $43,000 at 40%. In 20 years, it would be $2,795,000 at the whole roof, and $1,135,000 for 40%. So it's just something we should be aware of in these big expenditures, that we could possibly be using the money more wisely to get savings in the future. So everyone's aware now of the same information. Eric Tracy is working on it with Gail and the bidders, and I'm sure he'll have something to say should it come up at town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else approach the podium here in Town Hall, and seeing no hands raised online, I think we are ready to move on to Article 15. Article 15 is the Iron Rail Renewable Energy Lease CPA article. And this is, bear with me, this is also FinCom, so Mr. Sprague.
So folks that have been paying attention to joint select board and FinCom meetings over the last month or so will have been hearing this discussion. Essentially what we're doing is setting aside a field over near the DPW to be leased out, right? And use that to basically reduce our electricity bills going forward, right? So this is not going to cover all the bills, but it will take us a step forward, right? So this is going to have some savings for the town. Now, the FinCom did eventually, after these multiple presentations, vote to approve this. I see that I'm going to be the one reading the motion, but I think that's all I have on this one. Any thoughts or concerns from other members of the FinCom?
Just a question to Steve. Did you change the votes on the, because we've got votes from both boards?
They'll be made at town meeting, so it's not in the warrant, those votes.
Are you going to want, are you going to want us to vote again in person there, or just,
Nope.
just kind of report what they were?
I'll just ask for you to report what the recommendation was, so.
All right, so we'll just make sure we flag that in the script. So
I'll call it out, and you'll know it's coming.
Great.
Anything
That's
else?
it? We're good, thank you.
Okay, Select Board, Article 15, I believe we're also awaiting your recommendation, but if you have any other discussion or comments as well, feel free.
No.
Has Select Board voted a recommendation yet?
Yes.
And what is that recommendation going to be?
We voted last meeting on it, right? Correct, 4-0, I believe.
In favor?
That is right.
Okay, 4-0 for favorable action, okay. Likewise, I will call for a member of the select board to report that at town meeting on Thursday night. All right, does the administration have anything else on Article 15?
No. Nope.
Okay. Members of the public, any comments or questions on Article 15, the Iron Rail Renewable Energy Lease? All right, seeing no one approach the microphone, the podium here in Town Hall, and seeing no hands raised online, we will move on to Article 16, which is adoption of the Specialized Energy Stretch Code. This article is going to be a select board article, so I will now turn it over to you, Mr. Timon.
Does anybody have any comments or questions on Article 16? We do not.
Okay, could you just give a brief explanation of what the article is?
Steve, I'm going to defer that to you because you've explained it so well in the past.
Thank you. So this is, it's basically it's, I struggle with it too. But it's a specialized energy code that will enhance the town's, I guess, energy efficiency or carbon reduction, so that new existing structures are not affected, but new structures will fall under some greater requirements for clean energy use, and those things could include fossil fuel reduction requirement to have at least partial solar generation on the roof. I think structures that are over a certain amount will require all electric construction. In some instances, larger amperage will be required for your oh my God, what's the electric service coming into your house. So what normally would be a 200 amp service could be 300 or 400 amp to support the larger energy requirements, which could impact some cost. The reason why we're doing this is really, well, a couple-fold, is that you'll see in later articles that the select board has taken a stance on climate action and wants to move Wenham towards climate neutral, carbon neutral, certainly for the town's energy consumption, and has a similar vision to move the community, at least not to carbon neutral, but to certainly enhance the community's green initiatives. And this, by adopting this, will allow us to move towards becoming what Massachusetts designates us as a climate leader, and will give us access to about $1 million in additional grant funding that will help move the town and its community towards those goals.
Thank you. Gary?
And Steve, I think this is one of the items that has a special article right now on the Wenham webpage, on the main page.
Yes. Yep. A good point. There's a separate webpage just for this.
Anyone else? Okay. Nothing further from the select board.
Thank you. And so just to be clear, this is as part of this article proposing a adoption of a new general bylaw, correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is not a Finance Committee article, but does the Finance Committee have anything they want to add, Mr. Sprague?
No, we specifically asked the select board to give us guidance whether or not we were going to need to opine on this, and we heard back that we weren't, so we are not going to be making any recommendation or need to speak at the meeting on this.
Okay. I know the administration has spoken at the select board chair's request, but anything else to add, Mr. Poulos?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Members of the public, would anyone like to? Yes, Mr. Ward.
Speaking as a member of the public, not the FinCom, is Penguin Hall going to be included in this requirement? Because they're going to, I'm curious, because this is going to add a significant cost to a property that I hope we're going to be able to convert into a commercial use. And I know that commercial use, getting commercial revenue is important for the town. And I'm wondering if any thought has gone into that. as to whether that's going to be classified as a de novo, in which case be included in this, or is going to be classified as a renovation.
Mr. Poulos, if you have any information on that?
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to speak for the building commissioner. My expectation would be that, if it qualifies for new building, which some would be new building up there, then it would fall underneath this code, and, there would also be a significant amount of renovation, which would probably, fall under not having to conform to the new
Determining
requirements.
authority
Well,
as to
the
what-
building commissioner would be, so I can get you that answer, at least definitively, and it might be.
I don't need that for
It
town
might be,
meeting.
it
I'm
depends,
just
yeah.
asking that some thought start going into that now, because that's going to be coming up, and I'd hate to see Penguin Hall go away because of the new green building code. Secondly, when do we get the grants? When we approve the code, or when we actually bring projects forward?
When we bring projects forward, you need to have the climate leader designation to even get into the applicant pool for the grants.
All right, thank you, Mr. Poulos. Any other members of the public who want to ask questions, make comments on Article 16, the adoption of the Specialized Energy Stretch Code? All right, seeing no one approach the podium here in Town Hall and no hands raised online, we will move on to Article 17. And Article 17 is entitled Climate Change Resolution. This is a Select Board article, so I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Timon.
Thank you. This is similar to the stretch code. This is an article that will help be a building block towards hopefully allowing Wenham to achieve net zero by 2050, which is a previously approved goal of the Select Board and the town. And this is essentially a non-binding resolution that seeks a sense of the meeting from the town, reestablishing the commitment to that net zero carbon energy goal by 2050. And it's something that's required in order for Wenham to qualify under the state status as a climate leader community under the Massachusetts Green Communities program. Select Board member Deirdre Parati has been, a leader in this area. I don't know whether you wish to say anything about it.
Just that this was previously adopted, which year?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
22.
And just the little clarification on that was, it was originally taken by the board in 2022, the resolution by the Select Board. And at that point, it could have gone to town meeting, but it didn't. So it's here now, but since the stance has changed from, the original resolution says 2040, it is now, generally accepted that we've pushed it out to 2050, given, the difficulty to meet these goals. So that will essentially afford the town an extra 10 years to achieve the goal, while still being able to qualify as a climate leader for the state of Massachusetts. So 2050 is still qualifies you the same as 2040. So exactly how we're going to clarify that, whether the select board has to amend the resolution in the meeting immediately prior to town meeting, or maybe nothing has to be done because a resolution was made. We're working through those specifics, this afternoon and into tomorrow, and we'll let you know.
Any other Select Board member comments or questions? Seeing none, we're all set.
Thank you, Mr. Timon. Again, not a finance article, but Mr. Sprague, does your committee have anything they'd like to share?
I don't have anybody else on the board? No.
Okay. Anything further from the administration?
No, thank you.
Okay, members of the public, any questions, comments on Article 17, Climate Change Resolution?
Sorry, can I go backwards? Specialized code, if they're linked.
I think why don't we keep moving, and then at the end,
I just was going to clarify it, that's all.
yeah, I think once we've gone through, I will give the public a final opportunity for any comments on any of the articles, and we can handle that then. All right, any other comments from the public, though, on the climate change resolution article? Seeing no other comment, no other hands online, seeing no one approach the podium, we'll move on to Article 18, which is entitled Restrictions on Multiple Board Memberships. This is a select board article, so I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Timon.
Thank you. So presently, under the Town of Wenham bylaws, no person may serve on both the Finance Committee and I believe any other board in town, whether elected or appointed, as the Finance Committee is. The intent of this article is to expand that prohibition on dual memberships to 5 different boards, specifically the Select Board, Planning Board, Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Finance and Advisory Committee. And if this is passed, it would state that no person could serve simultaneously on any 2 or more of those boards. The intent is to reduce possibility of conflicts of interest or the appearance of conflict of interest, and to reduce the possibility of having perhaps inordinate influence invested in a particular member of a board, such that he or she is able to exercise that influence over multiple key decision-making boards in the town. The way that this is structured, and this is required under the law, and how this would be viewed by the Attorney General's office would it pass, is structured into appointed versus elected boards. So sections 1, 2, and 3 sort of deal with that, but the upshot of it is that those 5 boards would have a prohibition against simultaneous dual membership by any member. Does anybody on the Select Board wish to comment on this further?
I think you covered it.
Yes.
All right.
Well covered.
Great. Nothing further from the Select Board.
And my understanding is that the article proposes doing this through special legislation with the general court.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. Before I turn it back over, now we did not, we at this point have decided to defer our recommendation until town meeting. I don't know whether there's an interest to vote on this.
Why did we do that?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we should vote.
Yes.
Okay. All right, does someone wish to make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 18?
So moved.
Gary seconds.
All right, we'll take the roll. Peter?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Ben is yes.
Thank you, Mr. Timon. I will ask for the report of the recommendation at town meeting, but thank you for getting that vote out of the way. That's one less thing that we have to do on Thursday night. All right. Finance Committee, again, this is not a finance article, but does, Mr. Sprague, does your board or any of the members have anything they want to ask or comment on?
Question, will there be a handout at the meeting for the change language from the printed version of the warrant?
I'm not sure there was a change to the special legislation, was there?
I guess the warrant that got mailed out has article language to be provided at town meeting.
Yes.
The warrant that was posted has the article language. But yeah, we can. I mean,
Yeah. Actually, I was discussing this with Joe earlier because of the fact that the unofficial mailed version of the warrant did not have the text. I am going to require handouts be available. I will also intend to call a brief recess when I reach this article so that folks who have not yet seen the posted version and the text of the proposed special act have a couple of minutes to review the handout and review it before I entertain a motion and debate.
Sorry, if I may, maybe as a member of the public, not a member of the board, but just, can I ask the question now?
Go ahead.
So how many people does this affect right now? And I guess like one thing is, just from our perspective, Sarah's seat was open for 6 months. So essentially we're kind of going to a place where we make it harder to join multiple boards at a time when manpower in a 4,000 person town is limited of kind of willing servants, I guess.
So I'll touch on this from the Finance Committee side, because as town moderator, I also serve as the chair, I serve on the Finance Committee appointing committee, and I'm currently the chair of that committee. As Mr. Timon alluded to, we already have a bylaw that prevents anyone from serving on another board and the Finance Committee. This would expand the scope of that restriction beyond just the Finance Committee, but anyone who's already on select board or planning board or any of the other boards or committees in town already cannot serve on the Finance Committee at the same time. They would have to resign from, let's just say hypothetically, the planning board in order to be appointed to the Finance Committee. So with respect to the Finance Committee, that's sort of a separate issue. With respect to the other boards and committees, though, I'll turn it over to Mr. Timon to answer that question the best he can.
I'm aware that there aren't any members of any of these boards presently who would be affected, so there's no dual membership in place right now. And I think as to your other point, David, that's certainly like part of the balance. I think is that there may be an effect of making it more difficult on some of these boards to fill slots, and so the voters will have to balance that against some of the reasons to enact it, which I think is, at least for the proponents of the article, is sort of a best practice in the area of appearances of conflict of interest. But I don't know if anyone wishes to speak to this. Deirdre?
Yeah, so I proposed this article, and I guess I'm a cup half full kind of person, and so I look at it a little differently. I see that we've brought a lot of new people into town government in the last several years, so I see that as a win, and it does add a little bit of constraint, but it actually adds constraint within these 5 boards, but it doesn't have the extent of the prohibition that is on FinCom already, and that you can still serve on other boards, just not these, which these boards hold significant power, impact, influence in the town. So from my perspective, it outweighs the possibility that there's a slight lack of somebody being able to serve on many of these.
And I'll just take this as an opportunity to give my usual spiel to the members of the public that we are always looking for new volunteers, whether it's for FinCom or any of the other elected or appointed committees in town. We will, I'm happy to talk to anyone who's interested in at least the Finance Committee. Again, as a member of the appointing committee, we are always looking to have more names in the pipeline ready to go, either because someone has to roll off or chooses to step down or gets term limited out. The Finance Committee does have term limits. Members of the Finance Committee can serve 2 consecutive 3-year terms before they have to roll off. Does the administration have anything on Article 18?
We do not. Thank you.
Okay. Members of the public, would anyone like to comment on or ask a question about Article 18, the proposed special legislation for restrictions on multiple board memberships?
Sorry, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to belabor this, but so that point you just made on looking for people to kind of join the pipeline and whatnot, that's why I joined the Finance Committee when I went to my first town meeting 3 years ago.
Yep.
Do that at the start of the meeting.
I will.
Do it in the middle.
I will. I'll put flags into my binder at appropriate points to give my my little my little 2-sentence spiel on that. But yes, thank you for the reminder, David. It's always good to have that in mind. We certainly have a broader audience on town meeting night than we do even here. Okay, anything else from the public on Article 18? Seeing no one approach the podium and no hands raised online, we will move on to Article 19. Article 19 is bylaw to allow town meetings to be held outside of Wenham. This is a select board article, so I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Timon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So presently, the bylaws of the town of Wenham require that any town meeting be held within the boundaries of Wenham. Of course, Wenham is part of a regional school district, and so there's at least one large facility with great seating capacity, that being the auditorium of the Hamilton Wenham Regional High School, that Hamilton uses for town meetings, and that under certain circumstances it might be wise to have as an option for Wenham town meetings, particularly given that the seating capacity of the Bucher School, our normal venue for town meetings, sometimes is insufficient, as it was last fall when there was a great deal of interest amongst voters on a couple of different warrant articles. So this would simply lift the prohibition against the possibility of holding a Wenham town meeting outside of Wenham, and specifically it would limit that scope to the town of Hamilton and locations there. So it simply just provides that additional option to the town. Any other members of the board wish to speak on this?
Makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Timon. I will just point out something that I kind of got caught up with today, just from a reading standpoint. The proposed bylaw language is on the very top of the next page in the posted version of the warrant. So if you're looking for what that proposed bylaw language is, turn the page from where it says Article 19 at the bottom of page 37 and look at the top of page 38. That was an oversight on my part today when reviewing the warrant. Again, I didn't see it there, but I now won't forget where it's located. But we will have this very clearly laid out on the slides, what the actual text of the bylaw proposal is. And this is something that's contemplated by Chapter 39 of the general laws that govern town meeting. Thank you, Mr. Timon. Mr. Sprague, it's not a finance article, but does your committee have anything they want to share?
No, the Finance Committee has not debated this thing, so we don't have anything as a group to say.
Okay. All right. Does the administration have anything on Article 19?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Members of the public, do any members of the public wish to comment on Article 19, the proposed general bylaw to allow town meetings to be held outside of the town of Wenham? And I will also take a moment here to clarify that when this article refers to town meetings, it means capital T, capital M. That is the legislative town meeting. So that's your annual town meeting and any special town meetings. It does not mean lowercase town meetings, which would be your normal board and committee meetings. So this is why a bylaw is required, because actually under the general laws, a town meeting, capital T, capital M, can only take place in the geographical boundaries of the town unless the town has adopted a bylaw like this. All right. Seeing no one else from the public approach the podium or raise a hand online, we will move on to Article 20. Article 20 is an amendment to the animal control bylaw. Mr. Timon.
Yes, my understanding of this is that the state legislature, within the last couple of years, passed a statute colloquially known as Ollie's Law, relating to some unfortunate incident regarding, I believe, injuries sustained by someone involved in a kenneling operation. The legislature has tightened regulations around doggy daycare and kenneling, and Article 20 seeks to enact a local bylaw that would comport with Ollie's Law. Any other comments from the board?
Thank you, Mr. Timon. I note that the bylaw text itself was not published in the posted warrant. This will be available in a handout at town meeting, correct?
I believe it's actually going to be on the screen with the amendments highlighted.
I would also ask that a handout be available so that people can have it in their hand as well.
Okay.
Some people have a hard time reading the text of bylaws up on the screen, so can I ask that a handout be prepared?
Sure.
Okay. Finance, again, not a finance article, but does the committee have anything they want to chime in on?
Our committee did not debate this at all, so we have no comments.
Okay. Does the administration have anything else on this article?
We do not.
And members of the public, does anyone want to comment or question, pose a question on Article 20, the Animal Control Bylaw Amendment? Seeing no one approach the podium, seeing no hands online, we will move on to the next article. Article 21 is the Main Street Route 1A Safety Improvement Project article. This is a select board article, so I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Timon.
Yes, so this pertains to a state-funded project to install, among other things, lights in 2 locations in the center of town, the intersections of Cherry Street, Main Street, and Arbor Street and Main Street, and associated work. This has been something that Wenham has been waiting in the queue with the state for a number of years. And beyond that, I feel that either Steve or Gary may be able to provide a little bit of additional context on this article, so I would offer that up to either of you.
Maybe you want to take the history, Gary, and I'll
All right.
take the
Yeah, I'll
technical
take the
stuff.
history. So, and I believe this is also one of the items that already has the flyer up on the town website.
Also correct, yep.
So I believe, if I remember correctly, 2012, so we've been working this 14 years. It's been an identified problem since, I know there's one news article from 1966 by the chief saying that we ought to do something about this. So after a long period working with the DOT, that this continues to move forward, and this really is just a very small administrative step where the town is required to approve easements, temporary easements, by the DOT in order to get this work done. So this does not apply to the whole project approval or not. This is just an administrative step to say yes, that the town says, okay, on these easements. Steve?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The important part is that they are, this article deals with the private landowners' temporary easements that need to be taken for the project to happen. So basically, if this Article 21 isn't, although it doesn't stop the project itself, if Article 21 isn't passed, the project can't move forward without the easements. So the project would not be done, and the funding would be lost if this article does not pass. So there are probably a half a dozen-ish, 7 temporary construction easements that need to be taken. We've hired an appraiser. Kate Mallory, our land use director, and Rich Souza, our DPW director, have met a couple times with each individual landowner and have gone over this. So everybody is on board. Everybody understands what's going on. The appraisals will be done, and with the passage of this that allows the taking of these easements, the individual landowners will be compensated with the fair market value of these easements. But that's those easements are outlined in Appendix A. There's a pretty high level map that'll go over it, but again, these are absolutely needed to complete the project. Like Gary said, it started back in 2014 or so, and this is kind of it. We've been trying to get it forward for all these years, and the state has cycled in and out, and they're finally, it seems like we've got them on board. We've secured the funding, and it can happen. They want to publish the RFPs in August of this year. So this is it. This is the article for that.
And if I may, just to underscore, both Steve and Gary have said it already, but just to make it extremely clear for the public, these are temporary easements. These are not permanent takings of anyone's land, either from an ownership perspective or easement right perspective. They would just last through the duration of the construction project.
So question on that, and this is very exciting. I can't believe it's been 1960s that this started. But so what is the fiscal impact to the town? Do we have set like a rough number? Because if it's temporary, is it just a rental essentially? Or
Yeah, well, I mean, in a sense, I guess it would be, and Ben might be the best to answer exactly what it is, but my understanding is it's just there is value in them being able to use these little slivers of land along the roadway. So that value will be computed by a certified general appraiser, and the town will fund those payouts to those individuals to use that, since this is, the way it's been explained to me, since this is a town-initiated project. So the town initiated this project back in 2014, and I've heard even as early as 2007 through the state. And the burden of those costs has to be borne by the town. We're going to raise those, at least right now. This may change, but it would be taken up in the motion between now and town meeting. But as far as we can tell, we have enough Chapter 90 funding to cover all associated costs, including some engineering that had to get done, the hiring and funding of the appraiser, and also the payouts to acquire these temporary easements. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. All set, Mr. Timon?
Yes.
So, Mr. Sprague, in light of that, does FinCom wish to make a recommendation, given that there is a potential financial implication, or do you want to wait until the funding has been clarified a little further in the next 72 hours?
So we haven't debated this as a committee, so, we've heard that this is going on, but we have not been given enough information in order to kind of be able to make a recommendation, as to what the total costs would be or what have you. I don't foresee us being able to make a recommendation today. I don't know what kind of new information would be available between now and the town meeting that would be substantial enough, and we would have enough time to actually kind of vet it and kind of be able to deep dive and understand it. If the funding is coming out of, Chapter 90 that's already, established, and, we're basically taking money that might go to, sidewalks and instead put it on this, it's a little different from saying, at the next town meeting, you're going to expect a $2 million, debt, presentation for something like this. Very different. So because we don't have that information, we're going to have a hard time, making a recommendation.
My understanding, Mr. Poulos, is that the funding will be built into the motion if there is going to be an appropriation.
Yeah, to put into context, so but we're waiting on the appraiser to get some rough numbers on the cost to acquire the easements. We believe, 99% chance that we're going to have it in Chapter 90, and it'll just be a typical roadwork project that Rich oversees. I just wanted to throw that out there in the case it's not. We're probably talking to the tune of, it's just for context, $10,000 or $20,000. So just not that it changes your position, because I know you haven't had a chance to weigh in, but just for everyone here listening, that we're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything like that.
So the way we can leave it is that if the Finance Committee, once you've heard the motion made, if you on Thursday night want to take a moment to confer amongst yourselves, Mr. Sprague, I just asked that you ask to be recognized for that purpose. We can either take a brief recess for you to do that, or if there's other folks who are lined up to speak or discuss the article, you can confer while that's happening.
Right, and you said that if we met ahead of the meeting too, we could come up with something then.
Yeah, I just don't know if you'll have further information by that point. Certainly, you can ask the administration to provide it if it's available.
Yeah, well, we'll have. I think we'll know tomorrow, and then I'll contact you, Finn.
Okay.
Like I said, it's unexpected. I just wanted to float that so nobody was surprised.
Okay. Yeah. The more contacts we have, we will be there early, so before the meeting, and we may be able to address it then. But I think that's it. Any other thoughts from folks on the committee? Not hearing any. I think we're good.
Okay. Anything else from the administration?
Nope, that's all. Thank you.
All right, members of the public. Any members of the public that wish to comment or have a question on Article 21 associated with the Main Street Safety Improvement Project? All right, seeing no one approach the podium here in Town Hall and no hands raised online, we will move on to Article 22. Article 22 is disposition of town-owned property on Boulder Lane. This is a select board article, so Mr. Timon.
Yes, so the impetus behind this particular article is really the 3A rezoning amendments that were passed, which included the designation of a series of adjacent parcels on Boulder Lane as a potential site for multifamily housing under the so-called MBTA Communities Act, or 3A, which passed at the 2025 special town meeting. And one of the requirements of the state is, in order for our 3A rezoning to be officially approved by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, which is the agency that regulates that, is that given that the Boulder Lane parcels are town-owned, that they be at least shown to be available for disposition or sale for development. And so this would do that. It would provide authorization from the town that the Boulder Lane parcels be made available for sale, lease, or disposition. And there's more detail in there than I just described, but that's the summary of Article 22. Are there any comments from members of the board? That's it for now.
Thank you, Mr. Timon. Mr. Sprague, not a finance article, but does the Finance Committee have anything they want to ask or comment on?
We haven't debated this, but Jared, if you have some things you want to talk about.
Just out of curiosity as to the process, assuming that article is approved, is the plan then to put a committee together to craft an RFP for the parcels?
I don't think I think probably yes, although no decision's been made as to whether it would be, a working group, a committee, or just something that's deliberated by the relevant boards. Certainly in the past, we've had working groups with representatives of the key boards on questions like this, which would probably be a sound way to go about it, but I don't think any decision's been made, unless, Steve, I'm incorrect about that, whether the next steps.
Yeah, no decision has been made. I do expect the conversation will come up, but there hasn't been a decision one way or the other.
And then just connecting one more dot on that, on the stretch code, there's language in here that says new buildings will have to have minimum level of solar energy and adopt the Massachusetts state passive house standards. I mean, so I guess is the idea to throw the green code into the RFP, and I'm just trying to connect the dots, because I'm sure in the near future, members of the public, myself included, will begin to ask these questions. Because I would like to see something that's as affordable as possible come onto the marketplace.
Well, I think anything developed there would be new construction, and so if those other articles pass, then I believe that the construction that would take place there would be subject to those the stretch code and the other green construction requirements, for better or for worse. I mean, I don't think that it would be exempt from that. Gary?
And Steve, correct me, but, that is well down the road, because at this point, this is only in the coordination with EHOLC that we have to get this bylaw in place. So even with the bylaw, there's still approval needed from the EHOLC for our whole 3A plan to even start.
But I'm given to understand that this is the one roadblock to the approval. Are there other elements?
That's up to EHOLC.
But again, the article implies that this is the one roadblock toward getting our 3A plan approved.
Right. Yes, and so, the discussions with the UHLC are sort of fluid, but this is one of two things that they identified. The other seems to be an eminently solvable issue with respect to the zoning for the parcels in Hamilton that would be provide the access and egress to the other 3A lot in Wenham. And that seems to be something that is just a bit zoning analysis that is underway through our town council that we hope will satisfy EOHLC in that regard. But as of now, EOHLC has identified those two issues as being one of them. And again, they're not requiring that it actually be sold to a developer, and goodness knows there may not be developers beating down the town's door to purchase this particular set of parcels. But we just need to show that we are making it available or have the authority to make it available for sale or lease.
All right, anything else from the administration? Okay. Members of the public, any comments or questions on Article 22, disposition of town-owned property on Boulder Lane? Seeing no one approach the podium, no hands raised on Zoom, we will move on. Our last article on the warrant is the one that we don't actually do anything on town meeting day. It's Article 23, the election of officers. The way this works is we have an election instead. This used to happen actually at town meeting. All the town officials would actually be elected at the town meeting. We now use official ballots through an official election. And Diane's over there in the corner getting ready, I'm sure, for that election. That'll be on Thursday, April 16th, so 1 week following town meeting. There are a number of positions that are up for election this year. You can find them all online. There are also 2 ballot questions on the ballot this year. One is associated with the override, and one is associated with the high school roof debt exclusion. So that is the last of the articles. At this time, I assume there's no comments or questions about the election, but I'm happy to open the floor to that. And Diane, I see you've got your coat on, but hold tight just in case there are.
Now that we're using clickers, was the reason to move from the and have this as a separate election still exist? Is it because by law we actually have to have those for the debt?
Yeah, this. Oh, you mean on the ballot questions?
Right.
Yeah, that's a requirement of Proposition 2.5, is that you have to have a town meeting vote and you have to put it to the ballot. So that's comes right out of Chapter 59. Any other questions on the election? All right, seeing none, I did say that I would open this back up to one last round of comments or questions from the public on the entire warrant. So now that's the time. So if there's anyone else who has a question or comment on any of the articles, feel free to approach the podium or raise your hand.
Or both. Sue Petrolia, 6 Seaton Road, Wenham. Does anyone have questions on the specialized code? There's very detailed information on the website. To clarify, the specialized code is an overlay to the stretch code, which the towns approved, both Hamilton and Wenham, in 2010, as part of becoming green communities, to which we have accepted $1.3 million to help do all the energy stuff in towns, save money for taxpayers. So this is an overlay. It applies only to new construction. Any new construction that is fully electric has no other requirements besides the normal code. If you choose to build with fossil fuels, you certainly can. Under 4,000 square feet, you have to have a small amount, or you're requested to have a small amount of solar, but it's due to shading and the location of the roof and where it's facing. So there's a few questions there. If it's over 4,000 square feet, you are required to have enough solar to offset the fossil fuel use. Buildings over 12,000 square feet are required to move through the passive house standards.
What does that mean?
I think that you should look at that website. It's basically very well constructed, very well ventilated. It's meant to work as a breathing, living home that requires a lot less energy consumption.
It sounds enormously subjective, and if I'm a developer wanting to do a large project, I'm just concerned that, we're doing our best to make sure that, things don't happen in town. So.
Well, Hamilton has a passive house little community, and they're quite happy with it, and the builder is quite happy with it, but I think that's up to the builders at the time. DOER has done some assessments on the additional costs. It's on the DOER website. It's also linked in the information on the front page of the website. I think it's between 2 and 3% for a single-family home, under 4,000, over 4,000. It mostly requires you to have electricity available, built into the walls, instead of having to go back and do it after the home is built. But again, there's lots of information, 2 pages of facts, and also links to places where you can find more information on it.
How many towns in the Commonwealth have adopted the stretch code?
57. And it's been available for, it just came, bubbled up, I think, 2.5 years ago. So 57, it might be 58 now, one more town just went. And they're sort of sprinkled. There are many more of them around the Boston area, but they're in Western Mass, they're on the Cape, they're all over. It's all over the Green Communities website also. So I just wanted to clarify that. Who is doing the introduction to this bill? You did a wonderful job, Joe. I appreciate your concise discussion of the complexities of it. But so who is going to introduce it? The warrant. Sorry. Just curious. I'm not volunteering.
Yeah, but it's a select board, right? Article.
Yeah, it's a select board article because it's a general bylaw.
I mean, generally, I don't think, you're not going to give a lot of background information, right?
It's all been out there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. I will just pause briefly before I turn it over to the chairs to close out their meetings to remind everyone that sample ballot for the election is available on the town website. So if you're looking for that, it's available. It's also posted right outside the select board room here in Town Hall, across the hall from the town clerk's desk. So with that, I think we have concluded our review of the warrant, and I will turn it over to Mr. Sprague to close out the Finance Committee meeting.
Right, it's 7:52, so I'll make a motion to adjourn the Wenham Finance Advisory Committee. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Heard a second. Any discussion before we close? No? Then we'll move to a vote. Finn votes aye.
Bob, aye. Jared, aye.
That is 5 to close the meeting. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. I will turn it back over to the Select Board Chair.
So, yeah, special town election.
I'm sorry?
Diane, you needed some additional information or to certify that?
I thought we did.
We did.
We did. Yeah, we voted June 11th.
14th or 14th?
Let's just take it up for a second.
Yeah, we did. We voted on that Thursday night
And I
date
said I
last
would,
time.
and I said the 11th, and I said I'd come back with the dates. If we do the 11th, and papers are available on Thursday, this Thursday, it's kind of tight, we're giving them 2 weeks for people to get their papers back. If we push it back a week, we give them at least 3 weeks. Normally, you give people, there's no set law, I don't think, but I think 2 weeks is a little tight to ask people to take out nomination papers. So I didn't know if you wanted to push it back or push it back even later. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we voted on, so I appreciate that
You
clarification.
did vote? Okay.
We did vote on the 11th. It's not an agenda item on our agenda this evening, I don't believe.
It is.
Oh, it is?
Well, it's not to take a vote, but it is to discuss it. But I have a warrant if you want to sign it then.
Does anybody wish to revisit that date?
So you recommend it a week later?
I feel like, yes, I recommend a week later. I feel like you need 3 weeks for people to know what's going on outside of town meeting and town election.
All right.
So it pushes it 1 week further
Yeah.
for the election. I think that's fine.
High school graduation or?
So I don't know those dates. I don't know when the last day of school is. I don't know those things.
I think the
didn't
18th
get a chance to, the same day.
is the last date, the last day of school, I believe, right?
Yeah, right now it's the 18th, but if there's
But
if there's
that's
any
fine.
more day, it would carry over to the following week because the 19th is a holiday.
Right.
But we're out of snow season, so fingers crossed we're
Should be
good.
all set with that.
So the election would be on the last day of school.
So I don't know what you think. I don't know. That I can't give you a recommendation on. I just feel,
Everybody would show up.
Right. Yeah, so the 18th sounds like it's not the date
Okay.
to do it. Tuesday, the 16th would be, I guess, in the mix.
Can we
but
do it the 17th?
It's a Wednesday night.
Or the Tuesday, does it matter?
it doesn't really matter, no.
So what if we do the 16th?
So that just cuts back, it gives them more than 2 weeks, but less than 3 weeks.
Too, for
Right.
seniors.
You're asking the wrong demographic. I don't have high schoolers yet.
Or we can just wait, and I just feel like we kind of rushed it. I know it's important, but I feel like I haven't been able to give it full vetting, being involved in town meeting and town election. So I don't know how you feel about that. Then we're getting into the summer, though.
Yep.
Right.
I think
Alright.
the 16th or the 17th, yeah.
Okay, someone want to move for the 16th?
Yeah. We need to vote on that, right?
Yes. All right, so Peter's made a motion to hold the special election to fill the vacant select board seat to June 16th. Do you need us to?
Tuesday, June 16th?
Tuesday, June 16th. Do we need to say the hours, or?
I will put that in the warrant, but regular hours will be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
All right, we'll take a vote. Peter?
Yep.
Deirdre?
yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ben is yes. Thank you.
All right, and I will get a warrant, and maybe you guys could come in and sign it, even at my desk at some point
Sure.
in the next few days.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sorry.
I move that the select board meeting on 4/6/2026 adjourn at 7:57 p.m.
Second,
All right, we'll take the roll. Gary?
Yes.
Deirdre?
yes.
Peter? And
Yes.
Ben is yes.
You didn't ask if we needed to discuss it.